Yo, it's your boy DT from DT's Unfiltered Uncensored, and I'm live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. So, hey, I'm in a different setting. I'm out of town right now in Augusta doing a show at a tournament. So, right now, we are doing a special on the previews of the NBA playoffs. We just now finished watching the Timberwolves versus OKC game, which it was no contest in the last quarter of the game. I mean, the game was over. So I got my guys on here today. We're gonna talk about the first round of the playoffs. We're gonna recap the play-in tournaments, and then we're gonna jump into the first round of playoffs. First, I want to introduce to the show my right hand man, my son, brother from another mother. Know him for many years. One of my coach with me for many years. But welcome to the show, KDH. Thank you for being on the show, man.
Appreciate it. How's it going?
All right. And my man down below is the man with the Hillsman Heavy. Knows everything about the game of basketball from college, high school to the NBA. I want to welcome to the show my man. Oh, and he disappeared.
It's a studio break. Studio break. Joe Hillsman is here.
Okay. Well, same thing from my other guy down here. I got him on the show. He knows everything about the game of basketball, college, NBA, high school. I want to welcome to the show Mr. Baseline to Sideline, Robert Alfonso. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you having me, man. Looking forward to it.
And hopefully my man Jones was back. Okay, he's joining back in the show right now. He's popping up. We'll get started shortly.
What was that me? I'm sorry, my bad. I don't know what happened there. Thanks for having me, man. Glad to have fun. Glad to talk to the NBA.
Okay, cool. So we're going to jump in. We're gonna do a recap of the play-in tournament. So, first game, which we all predicted wrong, which I was shocked. The Atlanta Hawks defeated the Miami Heat. I don't know if Miami showed up to the game. I don't know. That I don't know. What you think about that, KDH?
I mean, it was definitely a little bit of missed shots. They weren't able to let the ball fall in there. But, I mean, a lot of it had to deal with Atlanta doing a great job of targeting Tyler Hero on the defensive side. We've definitely seen a different side of Trae Young, I think, on picking and choosing who to pass to, how to make the drive, and what shots to take that I was a little questionable about. And Miami just couldn't figure it out. It took them to the third quarter to really get it all figured out. But then by then it was a little bit too late. Atlanta was already on their run. So it was just a little sloppy. Not really. It was a little bit sloppy work. But outside of that, I think they just wasn't prepared for them.
How you feel about Alfonso? What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I think what Quinn Snyder had in mind, and he showed it, is I'm going to let Jimmy Butler get his, but I'm not going to allow Jimmy Butler to get it to everyone else. I'm not going to, I'm going to make sure I disrupt, whether running people off the line, finding ways to keep Bam occupied without being such an effective presence defensively. But I mean, this is why the Hawks went and pursued Quinn Snyder, right? And he's showing, because what Quinn could have done is stayed home and waited till the season played out with an interim coach, and this team could have not have been in the playoffs, and now he gets to put some of his stuff. It's starting to come together. When I say come together, is you could see from the first time he played with them to where they are now, they're a much better team. They're a much different team. And we'll see if it carries on to this next round.
All right. And how you feel about that game, Mr. J. Hill?
Both of these teams wound up making the playoffs. I think Atlanta, they did something what they needed to do. They got on a run. They built a big lead. Then they were able to hold on there at the end. They shot it pretty well from the field, about 48%. And they rebounded very well. And they limited Miami to a lot of one-shot possessions. And then as Miami was able to find ways to close the gap and get it down, the lead was still large enough because, as you know, when you're behind, it takes a lot more energy to catch up and then take that lead. So that cushion was just wide enough for Atlanta. And they won the ball game, and they were advantageous because they were able to rest the rest of the week. So good effort from them. I still think there's a lot of tweaking to do overall, but as we can see tonight, Miami bounced back very well and had a dominant last 4-minute stretch to beat the Chicago Bulls to go ahead and advance into the playoffs.
Right. So we're going to jump into the next game. We had the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Jay Hilsman, on that. Timberwolves performed pretty well for the most part until the last 6 minutes of the game. And, of course, Anthony Edwards didn't show up in the game. I think if he would have showed up, it'd probably been a different end result. But, of course, we can't do what else. So what did you feel about that game?
Well, I think a couple of things stood out to me. Once Karl-Anthony Towns got in foul trouble there at the 3-minute mark of the third quarter, he never scored again. So he had 24 points. He was not effective. And picked up his 5th foul in the fourth quarter, putting himself in harm's way. And then another key thing is in certain situations, you have to look at things. Minnesota did not get a free throw or not get a foul in their favor until the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Lakers, meanwhile, were in the bonus at the 9-minute mark, and that allowed that lead to kind of shrink there, and Mike Conley hit a big shot. But Minnesota just didn't close the basketball game very well, and Anthony Edwards did not play well at all. But they weren't eliminated, and they took care of business tonight. But I think this speaks more of the Lakers having to do what they had to do to go in the overtime to beat the Timberwolves than, okay, the Timberwolves, they lost, they had the lead, they learned from it, and we saw how they bounced back tonight as well.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on this, KDH?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think the Lakers had the favor in it anyway as it was heading into there, considering that I'm just a little iffy with the Timberwolves and how they can get together as a team because, I mean, it's a lot of discrepancy between the two. Also, too, with the missing of Rudy Gobert, they weren't able to really capitalize on the rebounding side. So it really took a lot on Karl Towns, which got him in a lot of foul trouble, him and Kyle Anderson, who were pretty much, I would say the offense and pretty much the defense of it. But outside of that, I mean, we got a great performance from Mike Conley from it. But however, it all landed off of a shot. Dennis Schroeder was able to knock down the shot. And however, Anthony Davis did foul, very unnecessary foul, but, got in overtime and they were able to handle business in the overtime. But, I mean, that's how I felt about it.
What about you, Mr. Alfonso?
Well, I think just Minnesota getting in and playing and going on the road and competing the way they did, again, you mentioned about playing the what ifs. They didn't have Rudy Gobert, and who knows what would have happened, right? Because it would have been probably a bigger celebration than the last year when they actually made the playoffs, because it would have been because of who the team was with the person and the personnel on that roster. So for that case, again, they didn't play well, but as we got all the chance to see before the start of this podcast, man, they came out and they handled business and made sure they were at home to at least give themselves and those fans another opportunity to play again.
Okay. So on the next night, and I'm going to I want to say on this is I originally felt like we could have blamed Rudy Gobert in a way, the reason why they lost the game. But the way they played and the way they had the possibility to win, I think a lot of it probably fell on the plate of Anthony Edwards because he was 3 for 17, which is something we don't really see out of him. We maybe have a couple games, but it's not consistent like that. So I think the nerves of playing in Crypto.com Center and playing in front of LeBron, that crowd, I think it kind of got to him a little bit. I think that's what took him out of his game.
That's a lot of assumptions right there because, we're talking about a kid who and I hate to call him a kid, but he is, but it's a young man who, again, he's probably have dealt with more adversity than what a game is going to provide, and sure, did he miss? I mean, again, we've had some of our greats and GOATs miss plenty of times. So it's like, I'm not defending him, but as much as saying that, okay, he's entitled to have one of them off nights. It just came at a bad night.
Oh, I
against
He
the
agree.
just didn't
Lakers
shoot.
team.
He just didn't shoot the basketball well. Other than
Right.
that, he still defended well. He still assisted. He still finished with 8 rebounds. He just didn't shoot the basketball well, and still 9 points, 8 rebounds. It's not his first rodeo. I mean, he's got 6 playoff games under his belt. They played in the play-in last year, and remember, the play-in games don't count statistically. The only
Yeah.
thing that counts with the play-in is just the W. So, but it was a growing and learning opportunity. Playing on that stage, I don't think that's any different. Now they got to go to Denver. So I just think that collectively, everything that went on with Minnesota, the start of the week to now, they pulled it together. And if you're going to have a bad game, let it be in the play-in game. But he just didn't shoot the basketball well. A couple of those shots go here or there. It could be different as far as his overall performances. I'm not worried about him. I know the shoulder is kind of an issue, but I don't have to worry about him not playing. He's going to play.
Right. Okay, jumping to the Toronto Raptors versus Chicago Bulls. Toronto had a huge lead at one point, and Chicago came out there in the second half and took control of that game. And I see a lot of Raptors fans blaming a 9-year-old girl. The reason why they lost the game is pathetic to me. To blame a little 9-year-old girl that he's screaming. Y'all missed. I heard they missed 18 free throws. Don't blame that on a child up in the yard, because everybody's screaming just as loud as her, and they go blame that on that. Alfonso, I'm gonna start with you on how you feel about that game.
Well, the thing about it is, Chicago just came to play, and Zach LaVine has shown, and again, when he's healthy, which he has been, I mean, he's a phenomenal scorer and a phenomenal player. And we could sit there and talk about the thing is, I think there's a lot of things going on that we don't necessarily know with Toronto that has nothing to do with a 9-year-old girl screaming. There's so many things going on. Coach Nurse is talking about that this may be it for him. I mean, they're shopping around players, or at least inquiring and saying that these are these guys' last stop. So there's a lot of internal things going on. And again, it almost carried over into tonight's game, against Miami, that they're not focused, they're not locked in, and you can't have that if you're trying to make it get far into the postseason. And this is why they're packing their bags, going back to Toronto, or staying. Some of them might be staying in Miami for a little bit before they go back. So,
or some of them are already in Miami, like Kyle Lowry. No, listen. Chicago did what they had to do. We talk about runs, and you still talk about the youth movement that is still Toronto. Very good pieces, but who's going to step up and be that leader? Who's that guy that you need in moments like that? As far as DeMar DeRozan's daughter, I can't believe I'm really going to say this in a public space. Toronto was the home team. She's pulling for her dad. So when you're at home, the crowd is quiet. So if there's only one voice screaming like that, fine. But in this day and age, when we want to find something to make it go viral, well, look, they were 18 or 36 on the free throw line. They shot 50% in a win or go home game versus shooting 76, 77% during the season. That's why people make noise. So that the Bulls did what they had to do. They found a way to pull out that victory. Toronto was eliminated, but to go to Alfonso's point, there are a lot of ancillary things going on within the Raptors organization overall. And this is going to be a very important offseason to see what they've got to do. I have been one that has not given Nick Nurse enough credit, won this championship, but I still think post-championship, he's done what he's been able to do and did it at the most. I don't know what he's going to ask of ownership in the front office to be able to do and make some moves, but Toronto is the city. They love the Raptors. They'll support them. So whatever needs to be done there, the ancillary pieces, they'll need to find it out. They still have some good pieces, but will they move them? Will they have a coach? Will they be looking for this? A lot of those things kind of play into things. And that's kind of why I'm still on the fence with this play-in thing, because they were a 9 and a 9 and a 10s. And see, we still haven't had a 9 or a 10 get in. 9 or 10 didn't get in this year. So, you just delayed another game for the Raptors to figure out what they're going to do in the offseason in a game that only counted with an L.
Edge, how you feel about this game?
I mean, no, like I said, I got to give Billy Donovan some credit as well for what he was able to do, come back from the 19-point deficit. Even from the start of the game, I thought it was a little odd that they were putting Caruso on Siakam, considering, Nick Nurse loves the post. So with that being off that and then coming off the double screen, it looked like Nick Nurse was going to have it. But then after a while, they realized how to stop the Siakam on the post and be able to get some wide open shots on the transition. So it was very a creative game. Looking at it, I definitely like the coaching scheme and some of the adjustments that they did made. My biggest fear with the Bulls, as it was, is I was a little worried about DeMar DeRozan and his shots attempts sometimes in the third and fourth. I think him and Zach LaVine I worry a lot about, but they were able to get it done in this game. But outside of that, I mean, I don't think Toronto really has enough. We've seen that they could get some options with the OG Anunoby, but they didn't make anything happen. If anything, they just got one trade of getting Jacob Poeltl back, which helped on the rebounding because Siakam, I don't think, needs to play the 5. But outside of that, it didn't really change much of the outcome. So we'll see what Toronto has in play. Like I said, I kind of agree with him. I don't understand the whole play-in tournament anyway. I think that you should leave that for time for teams to adjust and figure out their game style play for the next team that they're about to play.
Okay, jumping into one of the last playoff game, playing wasn't the last one, but we had the 9 and 10 from the Western Conference, which was OKC versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Close game for the most part, but OKC came in and did what they had to do. SGA stepped up to the court. He stepped up to the plate, and it was competed. He wanted that spot. He wanted to take them out, and nobody really expected. To me, I didn't expect Pelicans to even make it without Zion. They had a good run. They started a good start off. The middle of the season, they dropped off. Towards the end, they tried to come back, but I think it was a little too late. KDH, what did you think about this game?
I mean, I just think OKC had everything going right for them. I don't think Pelicans was really the worst team. I think the Pelicans actually were a better team. However, they just weren't able to get it done because OKC was literally making everything possible for them. Josh Giddey was playing outstanding, which I wasn't expecting against that game. Also making quite a few assists, getting that foul at the end, even though it could have been questionable with that Brandon Ingram 3 that they should have called a foul on because it was a foul. But nonetheless, OKC was still getting majority of everything. I think Pelicans only got the lead 3 times that entire game. And I want to say the first time they got that lead was right around that third quarter. So, I mean, just OKC had everything going right. And we've seen today that it was the OKC that I expected. I was surprised that they made it even this far, but I mean, outside of that, I don't think Pelicans really did too much wrong. They just had OKC get everything right.
What about your fans on this game?
And that was my point when I looked at, I'm looking at the game. I'm like, there was nothing there was nothing the Pelicans could have done, regardless of who was on the floor, who was in street clothes. They were hitting everything. They were executing everything, and it didn't matter what the Pelicans attempted to do. They were going to counter it and find success. And sure, Joel informed me asked me where Zion was, and because he and I have had this conversation that Zion is going to struggle, is going to continue to struggle in the NBA, and right now he has shown that. And how, why, what? Because I heard him say this before the start of that actual playing game, that he's fine. Yeah, but it's like, okay, now mentally I gotta, and again, I'm just trying to understand, what does that mean? I'm being genuinely honest. Like, what does that mean? Mentally ready to go and mentally ready to step out on the floor to play. If you're physically fine, what is holding you back mentally? And that's just the question.
Jay, Mr. Hill.
I really like how OKC stepped up. They've got a bright future. Hopefully, Holmgren has healed and been able to get some off-season work. But what Gideon and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was able to do, they didn't shoot it as well as New Orleans, but they hit timely shots, key possessions, enough to put themselves in winning situations. And you can tell how Willie Green has done an outstanding job with New Orleans, with Brandon Ingram being able to step up. All 5 of the starters were double figures. OKC was just a better basketball team there. It could have been a different game if Zion played, but at this point, you know, Zion has played in 114 games in his NBA career. He's missed 203. So, you know, you get what you drafted.
You do.
He got paid though. He got paid. Hey, that's what matters. He get paid. And so I did hear the interview when he said that he's fine. But how it was put, he said he was fine.
He basically was saying, I'm physically okay, but I'm just not Zion. So I didn't want to hurt my team by making a move and it's not ready. Or I mean, it's a win or go home situation in my opinion. So you know, call me old school, call me whatever. Tell me I don't know him. Tell me he's a gym rat. If he's not playing, there's genuinely a reason. Okay, this is pro basketball. This is adult basketball. That check don't come, then what? So you know. But like I said, 114 games played, 203 missed.
True. All right. So tonight we had the final games for the play-in. The first game, which I did not get to catch, so y'all didn't ever tell me about, was the Miami Heat. I'm sorry, Miami Heat versus Chicago Bulls. Jay Hill, man, tell me about how you feel about the game because I didn't get to see it. I was in the gym.
Chicago was Chicago. I mean, this is what they've done all season. That's why they were in this situation in the beginning. And I've rode Kobe White a lot in other conversations with people, but Kobe White was very, very effective tonight. And he did a lot of things offensively that helped the Bulls in key situations. But he got subbed out of the game late. And over the last 3:46, Chicago was 0-7 from the field. They only scored 1 point. And Miami flexed and played Miami Heat basketball, and they eliminated the Bulls. And the last 3 minutes and 46 seconds of the game, last 4 minutes of the game, that what you saw tonight in that 4-minute stretch was the Chicago Bulls all season. And so they'll have some things to do. We know how that front office, they've got a different front office. So we know how that ownership is. It'll be interesting to see. I just don't think the Bulls have enough, and they showed that tonight.
KDH.
Yeah, and I mean, just to piggyback off, is like I said, it's the Bulls. They're very iffy on some of the decision making. We've seen the same thing that Toronto was able to capitalize on the Bulls was that weak side back cutter, and Miami exposed it every single time. Jimmy Butler was able to score off of that baseline drive every time and get fouls on top of that to head to the free throw line. So they ended up being 3-point plays and just kind of took over. We really didn't see much from Vucevic. We really didn't see, I see Alex Caruso putting more effort than Vucevic, and it's like you're not getting no rebounds, but you're not really capitalizing on the undersized Miami Heat as most teams have done. Then Drummond's out there; he was able to get more rebounds. Why wouldn't we run potentially a combo? And I understand they may want to stretch the floor a little bit more, but I just didn't see. I don't think it was more so the Bulls on that. I think that was Billy Donovan and a little bit of his coaching on the Essex Miami Heat, because I think Miami Heat kind of got exposed playing the Hawks, and you should have took that and ran with that, and they just didn't.
And Alfonso.
As I stated before, you guys touched up on Chicago being Chicago, but Miami having the Butler, and Jimmy Butler doing it because this is what Jimmy Butler does. And there's times that he's going to take the onus on his own shoulders and not allow Miami to lose out, especially if he's got a chance to eliminate a team like Chicago tonight. And the fact that he dropped 31 tonight, it's, we could sit here and say Chicago was Chicago, but I'm going to flip it and be like, Jimmy was Jimmy, and
Max Strus.
Yeah, and Max Strus, but again, we still look, 90% of the people listening to this don't know who Max Strus is, and they follow the NBA every day. But we could sit there and talk about Jimmy Butler and know that would none of us here are surprised that Jimmy Butler did what he did tonight.
Yeah, he wasn't doing back-to-back. Wasn't going back-to-back bad games.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
that's not who he is.
No.
And the last game we just finished wrapping up was the Timberwolves versus OKC. And Mr. Alfonso, I'm going to let you start off on this final game.
Well, we got the chance to see a much better, shooting performance by Edwards. We got, Karl Anthony Towns being productive, also having another big to throw it to in Rudy Gobert. You know, we got a chance to see some things that, again, still a young Minnesota squad is going to continue experiencing, and you needed that. You need and there's something to be said. I mean, I know they're pros, but there's something to be said to go back home and being able to play there. And I'm sure those fans were fired up to just get that game in, and Rudy coming back. And again, that locker room is still in its own little thing going on. I mean, because of that situation with Anderson and Gobert, but overall, you still have the leadership in Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and again, they got a chance to go to Denver now, and the altitude is what's probably going to play into it that we'll talk into here shortly.
Mr. Jay Hilsman.
Great bounce back from Minnesota. I think sometimes things that are in the public, like I said, we're in a viral world. Everybody want to make a meme or whatever. But how does that adversity come together for one common goal? Minnesota, they love the Timberwolves there. That community is it's a basketball town. They're always going to come out there and love the Timberwolves. So they were able to bounce back tonight. Anthony was able to bounce back tonight with a double-double. Gobert with a double-double. Towns with a double-double. So when those guys are getting double-doubles and they went through what they went through, remember, they're coming off of a loss, but they were able to play at home. That adversity from Wednesday and Thursday, good solid practices, and then coming out on Friday night taking care of business was good. On the flip side, we saw the youth of OKC. Josh Giddey, great night, 31 points on the road. But we know in the NBA, it's about consistency. And so tonight it was not there again on the road, hostile environment, 2 of 13 from the field. He struggled. Shea got hit in the eye. The youth of OKC caught up. Minnesota is young as well. But remember, they're coming off playoff experience. They've been in the play-in situation before. So they have a youthful advantage over OKC, who did grow some chops tonight. But it'll be very interesting. Now, how will Minnesota harbor all of this and take that into the first round of the playoffs? Because there's some interesting facts in that with this first round matchup with Denver, we'll get into a little later.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. KDH, you have the final word.
Yeah, I mean, I think they pretty much hit most of the points that I was going to say. Like I said, OKC, number one, has no big. I don't know how most teams didn't capitalize off of that. Their biggest big, I think, is Jalen Williams, who's like 6'8", undersized big, decent, not a great shooter, not a great rebounder. But however, we were able to display that they can be out-rebounded. Not to mention, I know this is a different Minnesota team, but Minnesota was second in the league in most scored points. And I think today they were able to show how they can still be able to keep up with some of those top scorers in the league. If everybody's doing well. I mean, I think any game when Rudy Gobert is going to get 21 points, Minnesota's probably going to win that game, more than likely. So it was able to get everybody involved. I seen that they kind of put Kyle Anderson on that backup. He says his locker room probably, I guess they didn't want him. They had Nickeil Alexander out there. And he actually stepped up as well. I think he was actually a good backcourt for Anthony Edwards there. And I mean, they were able to get it done. I don't think there was much to it. I think just like they said, OKC, the youth caught up to them. They have no experience in the playoffs. They, at least they made it to the play-in. I guess that means something for them. But I mean, it just caught up to them. They weren't able to make a shot. Like I said, everything going for them the last game. This game, nothing went for them.
And that's life in the NBA.
That's life in the NBA.
So the playoffs is set. I'm gonna say one thing about the play-in, and we'll move on. I feel like 1 through 7 should be locked in. I feel like 8 should sit there and wait. 9 and 10 play against each other. Whoever win, play against 8, and whoever win that game get 8. That's how I feel. 7 should be locked in. Make 9 and 10 play against each other, and whoever win that, play against the number 8 seed. Then if they win, whoever wins that game, boom, that's who goes. And instead of having 7 play 8 and 9 play 10, then you got like 7 possibly dropping to 8. I think 7, you make 7 spot and above, you locked in. 8 should be the one on the fence. You're not sure if they're going to make it in.
Not a bad thought.
So
you know what I like even better?
Keeping it like original.
1 through 8, and let's go play.
Mm-hmm.
Go play.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
It's a business decision. They're just trying to get more fans at the end. I think that's just all it is. These teams that are losing, hey, let's bring some more money in by bringing some more fans.
You have, I mean,
okay. So let me make this point to you again, just really quickly. Do you technically know the play-in game is nothing more than a glorified preseason game?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's it. So, but we talk about players not wanting to play games. Well, now you done added another game to them, and then this one doesn't count, and your stats don't count. But 1 through 8, man, and I'm sorry, call me old, call me whatever. I don't want no play-in tournament. I don't want no regular season Commissioner Cup tournament. It's supposed to be a marathon, not a sprint. Do what you got to do from November to April to make sure you're in the playoffs and be done with it. Win the games you're supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me though. But now we gotta make it like European soccer and American soccer, and everybody gotta have a chance. And we want the college atmosphere in the NBA. No, these are pros. We don't need that.
True, because half these guys didn't stay in college long enough, nor be able to compete.
No, only people that care about college is people that. Never mind. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to the Western Conference prediction. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go round by round. We're gonna talk about the matchup, then we're gonna give our prediction on who gonna win that matchup. So first, we're gonna start out with number 4 versus number 5. We got the Phoenix Suns, which features Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. The big three. I know we got DeAndre Ayton, but I like them 3. And then we got Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and hopefully maybe Paul George, maybe. And I don't know who's they big.
Ibaka Zubac. Yeah.
So I want to kick it to Jay Hillsman. I want to see how he feel about this matchup.
I think this is going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I think the Phoenix Suns probably have the potential to win the championship down the road. But how would their kids?
Okay. You froze on us.
That was going to be a great point he was going to make, because look at the intensity on his face right there. like look at it. Like let's just go ahead and let's study that while we hopefully get it refreshed. I mean, he was going to.
Are we here?
Oh, there we go.
There
we go.
We're waiting.
Hey, hit
y'all
that reset. No, yeah, because you froze. You froze for a second.
All of y'all went away. I didn't know what happened. So the Suns' chemistry, how would they be able to get that together? They didn't play a lot of games together, but you do have veterans, which, there's a stat out there that Kevin Durant could be the first player to play more playoff games with his team than he did in the regular season after the midseason trade. The other thing, KD versus Kawhi, both of them very efficient scorers. We're going to see a lot of Kawhi doing the things that he do. We're going to see a lot of the things that KD doing what he does. And you might not have brought up Ayton, but Ayton is going to be very, very vital for what they do offensively on the glass and defensively. He's going to be very key, because in certain stretches, if you want to go Paul and Booker, or if you want to go Durant and Booker, or if you want to go Durant and Paul, Ayton is interchangeable with all of those options. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. I don't know how many games Paul George didn't play. This is why in November you rest, in December you want to be ready for the playoffs, and then all of a sudden here you are. I hope Paul George is better. I don't think it makes a difference. I think the Suns win this series in 6, and I just really think that the pieces that they have, with Monty Williams being their head coach, is just going to be a little bit too much. But also, sneaky thought, many people won't mention him, but I will. Look for Bones Highland for the Clippers. He might have a pretty good series, quietly.
Okay. Next we're gonna save the prediction to the end, but I got you. 6. Go ahead, Mr. Alfonso.
Well, first of all, yes, the Kawhi Leonard and KD matchup is going to be fun to watch, because while Kawhi is an effective scorer and efficient scorer, he's an excellent defender, and I'm just curious to see how he defends a 7-footer on the wing. And again, I'm not saying he can't, because he obviously has shown he can. Another thing for me is just, I think there's enough pieces, and we talked about, Joel mentioned chemistry, but these guys have been playing basketball for a long time, and there is a chemistry and there is a feel, but these guys have been around each other in some capacity for a long time, whether it's through the high school ranks, then eventually through Team USA, so on and so forth, all the way to the league. And here we are. They're all playing in the league because when you think about a KD and Chris Paul, I mean, Chris Paul, his efficiency is going to be important, okay? But the fact that he knows how to handle the basketball and play alongside several other stars like he's had and knows, because Chris Paul doesn't necessarily have to score to be effective, but the fact that he knows how to distribute and put KD and attract attention to himself to be able to get KD or Booker or Ayton open. But the guy that I'm actually curious, and I know you mentioned Bones, Joel, Norman Powell to me is going to be one that I'm intrigued with, because we're talking about Kawhi, we're talking about PG, excuse me, and we're talking about Russell Westbrook, but quietly Norman Powell's had a great season. He's had a strong season, all things considered, and the things that are going on in LA. Tyronn Lue has done a great job with them, but I don't know if they have enough, and we'll talk about that here shortly.
KDH.
Yeah, I think it ultimately comes down that I just don't see them having enough. I mean, even if you get a good night of Russ, I think Kawhi is going to handle his part. But I mean, who else is really going to score? I don't see it being Nicholas Batum. I don't see it being Zubac. If Bones Hyland is going to be the backup, maybe he might. But I mean, Terrence Mann seems like they got that, and they've been running a lot of Eric Gordon for the backup. Or probably will start for Paul George. So it's going to be iffy. Plus, too, like I said, with Kawhi and his knees, is he going to play better defense than what he's been doing against? Is he going to run around with those guys? I don't know if he's really willing to risk it that hard. Even though I think this is a do or die for him, I don't really see them making it out. But I think this is an easy win for Phoenix as long as Devin Booker and KD do their job. I think Ayton is going to struggle with the Vaka Zubac and the Mason Plumlee. With the addition of Mason Plumlee on the boards. But, I mean, as long as he can score, I think this is just a game of who can outscore who at this point. I don't think there's really needed much defense in the game either way because I just don't see Clippers really having that much. I mean, if we're going to get Russell Westbrook to even get 20, then we're hoping for that. It's not a guarantee. It's not a, hope. It's just like who we're going to get the second 20 from if it's going to be Kawhi getting 30 to possibly 35 points a game.
Remember, defense always kicks up a notch in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. I think it's going to come down to your bench, because when you look at the starters for the Phoenix Suns, you really you have bench player, but you don't have a stronger bench player as when you look at the Clippers. So I think it'll come down to bench player, role players, who's going to step up on the Clippers, because as long as Kawhi doing his thing and Russ doing what he does best, it's going to have to be a third person. And I agree with Alfonso. I think Norman Powell, he been, like I said, he should win Sixth Man of the Year to me. I've been playing the whole year. I love his game. I like the way he shoots. Bones Hyland, like you said, that Terrence Mann, they got a lot. It's just like how effective they're going to be in the game. That's what I'm going to say. Now, KD go get his points. Devin Booker's going to get his points.
That's 60 right there.
Yeah, but is Chris Paul going to actually be effective? I mean,
Chris Paul,
he don't have to score. He don't have to score.
He got to score. Huh?
You ain't got to worry about Chris Paul. He's going to be there.
At this age, I do it. LeBron at this age, I don't. Chris Paul, I do. Because Chris Paul really hasn't looked himself all year long.
I mean, you could argue he didn't really look himself since the playoff of last year when he played against Dallas.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so he hasn't looked himself.
I think he's fine with the addition of KD. I think that took a lot off of his back of having to try to get these guys open, having to get those guys. I mean, KD and Devin Booker can get theirs without having to be assisted the ball. So Chris Paul, if he can get Josh Okogie involved, if he can get DeAndre Ayton involved, I think they'll be all right. But I don't really see it.
I'm still the thing about it. We still can't say if Chris Paul is going to show because he's looking his age right now. He is. He hasn't been looking his age.
Chris Paul's going to be just fine.
We shall see. So, KDH, what's your predictions on this?
Oh, Phoenix. I got Phoenix probably in like 5 or 6.
Alfonso.
I'm gonna take Phoenix in 5.
Oh, and you said Phoenix in 6, right? Jay. We ain't gonna get Paul. I would love for Clippers to win.
You see, wait. Before
No, I said I would love
but
for
listen,
Clippers to win. I would love for Clippers, but I don't think they're gonna beat Kevin Durant.
like I told you off the air, you just stick to it now.
No, I said no. But I gotta say, I would love for Clippers to win.
Okay.
Why would you love for the Clippers to win?
But I
Right.
don't.
Explain that, because that's what I told you before the show started. I need you to stand on your stuff. So talk to me.
Because I have.
It's Russell Westbrook. That's his
I've
favorite
been a
player.
fan
You gotta
since,
think.
his
Russell
college
Westbrook,
years.
his favorite player.
I've been a Russ fan since college, so
I
I would
understand
love
that.
for them to win. But
Okay.
I know they're not.
Okay.
If they had
look.
Paul George, possibly. If they had a healthy Paul George, possibly. So I'm
Be a
gonna
different
say-
conversation.
I'm gonna say Phoenix and 6.
Yeah, the Clippers
Okay.
not winning that series.
Nah, there's no way.
Next
We're
series,
moving-
let's go.
We're moving to the Kings, number 3, versus the Warriors, number 6. I'm gonna start with you, Alfonso, on this.
Look, 16 years is a long time, baby. 16 years and not being able to get into the playoffs. And, right now, the Sacramento Kings fans are happy, drunk, just being in. They've been the uncool kid for a long time on the West Coast. They've been literally standing on the outside looking in, and everybody around them doing well. Glad to see that they're in. I just don't know if those first-time trips for many of these guys, okay, and I don't want to call it nerves, but just expectation of level of play, is going to counterbalance the experience and the amount of mileage that, yes, I know the Warriors have, but it seems like everybody on that roster has played in the playoffs so long, like they understand what it's going to be like, and they're going to be able to execute. We were talking about Curry, we're talking about Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the return of Wiggins, we're talking about Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, we're talking about pieces that they've been around. GP2, he's back. And so I just don't see the Warriors being eliminated. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Jay Hilsman.
Listen, the Sacramento Kings are a very, very good basketball team. They had an outstanding regular season. And De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis Sabonis are very.
Look at that intensity again, boy. That intensity is real. Look at it. He's like, I'm going to get my point across right now. Somehow your connection when you get intense, Joel, it freezes up.
You gotta relax, my boy.
Yeah,
that's how it goes. So I think the Kings have had a very good season. They won the division, which was great. The trick, though, is being the 3 seed probably is detrimental to them because Golden State is the 6. Golden State has the championship pedigree. They have the championship DNA. They have the playoff experience. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis are very good. I still think the Warriors win this series, but it's not going to be easy. Mike Brown is the reason why Sacramento has been successful this year with what he's been able to do offensively and defensively overall with that team. And he's also a big part of how Golden State had success as well. There are tricks and traits and things that he's going to be able to pull and prod out. And I think there will be some interesting chess piece matches in this game. Golden State, I think, wins the series. Sacramento bows out, but they are not going to go out without a fight. Fox and Sabonis have the ability to defeat the Golden State Warriors. I won't be surprised if they do. But the Warriors championship DNA just is a little bit more to look for in this series, although it will be a missing match and it'll be a very interesting series. And we'll see if the Kings have enough. But this is pro basketball. The best team wins in a 7-game series.
I'm gonna go real quick. Now I'll let you go, KDH. It's an interesting matchup. Last year, I went with experience over talent when we had Golden State versus Boston. Everybody was saying Boston was going to take it. I said I'm going with the experience over talent. This year, I like the Sacramento Kings. I like the way they've been playing, even though they're not playing as much defense. I like the offense. I like how they run. I love the coach. I love what he has done to them. He has took them from a team that has not seen the playoffs before my son was born, well, almost before my son was born, to now they actually seen the playoffs. I like the core group. I like what they got. I think they're going to give Golden State a run. I think it's going to be, most people predict something different. I predict that everybody gonna see a difference out of Sacramento King in this game. This even though I know, if I'm not mistaken, Golden State won the series 3-1 this year, but I think it's gonna be a difference. I'm gonna leave my prediction to the end. KDH, go.
I mean, it's just Warriors are too deep. I think the reason there has been a lot of success with Sacramento is because they're just able to outscore a lot of opponents. But you're dealing with the number one team that knows how to outscore any opponent. So I think Warriors got this one hands down. Plus the inexperience. I think Kings can get 1 or 2 games because I don't think Warriors are going to be hot as they are. But like I said, Kings are one of the worst teams defensively as a group. So they're going to allow a lot of points. And if you allow a lot of points from the Warriors and Steph and Clay to get hot, I mean, you can pretty much hang it up. So I really don't see much of a contest. It's unfortunate that they have to play the Warriors. If it was any other team, I think it'd be a different conversation. But with the Warriors, I don't think there's something to play around with. I think they're going to go ahead and get this one.
I love you. Get your prediction first. Go, KDH.
I got Warriors in 5.
Alfonso.
I'm gonna take the Warriors in 6.
Jay.
Golden State in 7. Y'all got to give the Kings a little bit more credit. And the thing about it is, if they protect home court, remember they've got the home court advantage.
They do, and that's what I took into consideration with the possibility of Golden State being able to split, because they are accustomed to an atmosphere. So we'll see.
And remember, travel is not an issue in this series.
Yeah,
not at all.
I'm making a bold prediction. I got Kings in 7. I made that prediction already on the NBA Network. I think Kings go upset Golden State and knock them out in the first round.
It's not, but technically,
it's not.
It won't be an upset.
Yeah, it won't be upset. But to the world, it'd be the defending champions got defeated, lost in the first round of the next playoff. So moving on to the Grizzlies versus the Lakers. Number 2, Memphis Grizzlies versus number 7, Los Angeles Lakers. Alfonso, KDH, I'm gonna let you kick this one off.
All right, I'm a Memphis fan.
I know.
I'm a Memphis fan, so I like my Memphis. I'm personally, it's going to be a very interesting game. We're going to see LeBron. I think AD is going to, to get into the whole scouting report like LeBron James did. Memphis is deep. And that's one thing I want a lot of people. Memphis is deep. We have Tyus Jones that can step up at any point when he gets in the field. We have Santi Aldama that can knock down and stretch the floor if they need to run 5 out. We have Luke Kennard with the addition, who is, killing from the 3-point line. I think he'll be able to do it. We got a good transition of David Roddy coming up slowly, but Lakers are not going to be an easy team to beat. They have the experience. They have LeBron. There's not much more I need to say on that aspect. Personally, I'm a Memphis fan, and I think we actually have a chance. So I'm just going to have to go Memphis on this one.
Jay Hilton.
It's going to be a very interesting series, and of course, everything surrounding Memphis. Now, do you show your resiliency and you show your adversity? You've got the 2 seed, and we're going to play the clip, and I'm going to be one. I'm going to say it. Yeah, Ja, you in the West. You good now? You straight? You get the Lakers, and there's going to be a lot of things that, if you play within what you've been doing, I think you'll be all right. If you play gunning to eliminate LeBron and focus on that a lot, you don't really have to. The Lakers don't have enough, okay? They just do not have enough to win the series. But do the Grizzlies have enough to make sure they don't lose the series? I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I think Ja's going to have a pretty good series. Desmond Bane, I think, is going to be okay. But if they get caught up in things and all of a sudden you leave it where it's an even series 2-2, and a lot of things can happen there. I don't think the Lakers are going to be able to win the series outright. But if it's very close series, things sway toward the West Coast.
All right, and Mr. Alfonso.
And the things that sway isn't the breeze on the Pacific Coast Highway. So I get what you're saying. You guys touched on it, the depth, the youthfulness, the desire, to play against the Lakers. As you said, they've done enough talking. This is their chance. I mean, I know on the regular season, LA's got them up 2-1. I really think that the Grizzlies do have a chance. I want to see, and we talked about him earlier, last week in our earlier podcast, is I'm looking for Jaren Jackson Jr. to really step up and have a great series, because I think a guy like him is, again, he's going to be matched up possibly, certainly, with Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? So if he is able, this is if AD doesn't get hurt by sneezing.
But Jackson may hurt him.
Well, exactly, too, because of his physical play. So that's what I mean. It's like Jackson, to me, is such an X factor, an unknown. I'm not going to call him an unknown commodity, but certainly a matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing.
What it's going to boil down to with me on this series is AD, one, if he going to stay healthy. Two, is he going to attack Jared Jackson to get him in foul trouble. Because if he does that, if he had to sit, that's going to leave AD go off. So we need to see what kind of game. This all boils down to AD. LeBron going to do his thing. We know that. We know LeBron going to drop his 30 points. He going to have a good game. It's what AD is going to do. And if they focus on trying to attack Jared Jackson and get him in foul trouble, which I think the Lakers are going to do, they're going to find ways, because that's what AD did to Cat the other day, got him in foul trouble. He had to sit down. Same thing I think they're going to do against Memphis, because get him out the game is kind of much easier to me for AD to score. Not saying he's just going to get it, but he'll get it easy without him on the floor. But who's going to stop Ja? There's nobody on that Lakers roster that's going to stop him. I mean, what's his name?
Jared Vanderbilt.
No, what's the guard name on Lakers?
Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, he could try to do something. It's not going to help. I said try. That's why I said try. He could try. It's not going to help, because Ja's a different animal. So it's going to come. They're going to win on the guard part. Just the Lakers going to have to try to force their way to get Jared Jackson in foul trouble. But I think it's going to. I think LeBron is LeBron. LeBron is one of the greatest of all time. But I don't think he has enough. And what's his name?
For what team?
Russell for Lakers. I keep forgetting name.
D'Angelo.
D'Angelo. If he played like he did the other day, oh my God, it's a wrap, because he didn't show up in the game against his former team, the Timberwolves. So it's gonna really come down to what Anthony Davis does on the court, and if he's going to get him in foul trouble. But I'm going to give my prediction. We're about to do prediction. I have Memphis winning in 6. KDH.
Yeah, I got Memphis at 7. As long as they don't allow LeBron to control the pace, and they need to make sure they speed it up on the Lakers, then I think they got a chance. But I mean, it's the Lakers. I don't think it's going to be easy. So I'm gonna say Memphis in 7.
I can't say one thing. If they go to 7 games, I'm gonna get Lakers go get it. But go ahead, Alfonso, because LeBron not gonna lose in the game 7.
Well, that's the swing of the breeze headed to the West Coast if that were to happen. But I'm gonna take the Grizzlies in 6.
Jay Hilton.
The Grizzlies are the better basketball team. Grizzlies in 6.
Okay, cool. And last but certainly not least, we have the number 1 Nuggets versus the number 8 Timberwolves. Jay Hilton, I'm gonna let you start off with this one.
A very interesting matchup here. Really happy with Mike Malone and what he's done with the Denver Nuggets. They know they've got all kind of pieces. They're probably healthy. they probably are legitimately the number one seed. Now, Minnesota, what would they be able to learn? They had a tough first round series last year with
Memphis.
Memphis. And now, how will Mike Conley be able to dictate the offense and how they be able to move things? Karl Anthony Towns, I think, will be the most important factor for the Minnesota Timberwolves in this series because he's got to be able to play 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 minutes against Jokic. Jokic is going to be able to do what he's got to do, but they need him to focus in on that with him and Gobert, both of them. And then if Murray shoots the basketball well, it'll be very, very difficult. But I think this series is going to be a lot more interesting and more tighter than we think it will be. Minnesota now, they get in this groove. They'll have practice in the morning and they'll fly out there. And, they've beaten Denver during the regular season. They've beaten the Kings during the regular season. Those are things that you put a feather in your cap. Okay, yeah, we did it. Now we've got to win the series. I just think Denver's a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger. They're going to get pushed by the Timberwolves now. The Wolves are going to push them because all of this stuff that's going on this week, I don't want to say this time and sound like I'm repeating myself, but how they bounce back in the adversity and how they come together now will really, really show. And if they steal one, and I do mean steal one, in Denver, then the series really opens up. I think Denver has too much, but there are reasons to believe that if pieces are put in place and Conley showing that veteran leadership is able to engineer that offense, Cat plays well, Gobert plays well, and Ant-Man does what he does, Wolves can push the Nuggets in this series.
KDH.
Yeah, I think with this one, we're definitely going to see Timberwolves push a little bit on the Nuggets because, like I said, I don't think anybody expects the Nuggets to really be that effective and that hard to beat. It's really going to decipher if Anthony Edwards is really going to step up like he did the first game against them, dropping about 30-something points. Is he going to be able to be consistent? I think with Denver, they're able to stretch the floor. They have a fast pace, and Minnesota is going to have to keep up. Rudy Gobert can't be lagging. Karl-Anthony Towns can't be lagging because there's a lot of times that when a basket gets to one end, they're the same two guys that sit there behind. And with Jokic, he can run that offense. Jamal Murray can run that offense. They can even run one-on-one with Michael Porter or Aaron Gordon. I don't really think with the loss of Jaden McDaniels, they don't really have too many people to guard a lot of their players if they go one-on-one. Now, if they help, of course, but I mean, we haven't even seen them play against Karl-Anthony Towns either. So how is Karl-Anthony Towns going to be able to deal with Nikola Jokic? Stopping him from going to the baskets or stopping him from making certain plays. I think it's going to be a challenge for the Minnesota, but I got Denver, but we'll see how they can shake it up.
Alfonso.
Well, that was, we all going to agree on this is Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be the factor and the one we're all paying attention to because of his skill set matched up against, when I say a veteran, just someone who knows how to use his body in the Joker, who is accustomed to looking at guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, both athletically and in length, to be like, hey, I know how to operate against this. It's going to take a lot of discipline on Karl-Anthony Towns' part to understand how to play, how to make sure that he doesn't get caught up in all the ball fakes, all the things that Jokic is going to do. My next matchup is watching how Murray handles the offense, with Conley, but the thing that KDH just mentioned about, lagging is the one thing that I always think about. I've never stepped foot in Denver, but I've heard about it is the altitude, because you can oxygen tank all you want, but if you're not accustomed to playing out there as often as a Denver Nuggets team, that could be costly. That could be effective, and that's going to play into this, at some point. But overall, I'm looking forward to seeing what Karl-Anthony Towns does against the Joker as he's getting an opportunity to play against them for the first time this year.
I think it'll come down to defense, really, because one thing we have knows about Denver in the last month, they don't really play none. They have struggled against lesser teams that wasn't even in the playoff hunt. And Jamal Murray didn't show up. Michael Porter Jr. didn't show up in the games, and you're playing against teams that you should really manhandle and beat. So it'll come down to that because we know Jokic is going to get his points. He's going to get his points. we got to. I want to see what everybody else do. They're going to show up into the game because I feel like right now Anthony Edwards on a high. I think he's going to show up. I love what Karl Anthony Towns doing. He's showing up to the game. We need Rudy Gobert to show up. So it's really going to come down to the defense. And if I feel like Denver has to step up on defense because right now they outside of they like number 16th in defense. And last time we had a team that actually won the NBA Finals was the Golden State Warriors, who was number 11 defense. But before then, all teams that won the NBA Finals was in the top 10 defense. So that says a lot. So we really got to see that. I think it'll be a great match, especially if Timberwolves play like they played tonight against Denver. Denver been sitting, resting for a while, but I think they'd be ready to go on Sunday when they play against them. So it's going to be an interesting match. So I'm going to start with you, Jay Hilsman. What's your prediction?
This is the NBA playoffs. The better basketball team will win the series. Denver in 6.
KDH.
I also have Denver in 6.
Alfonso.
I'm going to step out. Denver in 5.
I will follow you, Alfonso. I have Denver in 5. Okay, so real quick before we move away from the Western Conference, which matchup are y'all looking forward most excited about seeing, and who would y'all be surprised if they lost? I mean, would be a surprise if it would flip and they actually lost their series.
Phoenix, if they lose their series, would be the biggest surprise. I look forward to seeing Phoenix play. I look forward to seeing the Kings play, and I look forward to seeing the Wolves play. Those I don't think they're going to win the series, but I want to see how they get accustomed and get that experience. You guys talked a lot about offense and scoring points. I'm here to tell you, it's a different game in the playoffs. Possessions are fewer. Defense is going to be played. The 130 to 120 games, they're not going to be around now. You're going to get 110 is probably the highest you're going to get in some of these games because those possessions matter and count. Defense is a little bit more put a premium on. So I expect some close games. I expect some tight games. I don't expect any runaways. But if the Suns lose to the Clippers in that series, that would just shock all of me.
Alfonso.
I'm gonna go with that Suns Clippers matchup for 1,000 DT. Because I just want to see honestly the KD Kawhi Leonard matchup, and certainly the excitement of who Sacramento is. I certainly would, because again, Mike Brown deserves his flowers, and for what he's done over there, and he's in a lot of places that he's been, he's had success. And again, just being able to put together and do, for many, was the unthinkable, and getting them into the playoffs, because they've had some coaches in the past, but he knows how to put it together. So just being able to watch them, and that's really what I'm intrigued with, because I look at this, and Joe mentioned it with Minnesota. For Sacramento, this is great playoff experience, especially being able to start at home and being able to understand, okay, this is what this feels like. This is what this is supposed to feel like, regardless of how terrible they play defense. At some point, one of them, you would hope, has some pride, if not 5 of them, will have some pride and be like, okay, let's lock in, because we can't get up to 130 against a team that's that can score 145. Because if we get into that foot race, we're gonna have a problem. So the fact that you got a high potent offense, and when I say high potent, I mean we're talking about Curry, Thompson, Jordan, Poole, guys that they get hot, it can get bad quick. And if they don't play defense in Sacramento, it could be over in 4. But again, I think with Mike Brown there, who'll be able to navigate hopefully some emotions, make them understand that this is what we're here for, and the experience is going to potentially carry them over for the next few years.
Mike Brown himself is good for 1 win.
Absolutely.
KDH.
I think the game that would sort of shock me is that Clippers and Phoenix game, of course, because like I said, I think Phoenix is way too deep, and I don't think Clippers have enough. The game I am looking forward to seeing is Memphis and Lakers, because I really think it's anyone's hands. All it takes is one fuck up. one fuck up, and I think one of those teams are going to take advantage of. And if it's the Lakers and they are able to control the pace, then I think that's the game that I'm going to be watching closely. The rest of them, I think, the storyline's already in place for most of the teams.
I'm gonna say the one I'm most excited to see will probably be the Grizzlies versus the Lakers. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I already see Dylan Brooks and his antics and the way he playing. I'm enjoying the way him as a player, so I'm looking forward to that. I wish it was Denver. I wish it was Memphis versus Warriors in the first round. That would have been definitely good. Who I'll be surprised if the Timberwolves beat Denver. That'd be my shocker if that was if they would have beat them. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, we're gonna start off with number 4, Cavaliers versus the New York Knicks. I'm gonna let you start off with this one, KDH.
Yeah, I think for at least the starting, I think this is probably going to be one of the most interesting games we're going to see for the Eastern side, because you got Donovan Mitchell, who is playing outstanding. He's definitely able to score through and throughout. We also have Darius Garland, Evan Mobley coming off a potential Defensive Player of the Year. They got a lot on their roster. I don't think the bench is too crazy, but I mean, they still got the likes of Karis LeVert. They still got the likes of can't even think of the white boy names, Jetty Osman. So it's like I think they could potentially come. It's going to be a good game, but I don't think you should sleep on New York either. Julius Randle, I hope we get better than what he's done in the season in the fourth quarter performances. And Jalen Brunson is playing outstanding. I think he will be able to definitely display like he did last year against the Phoenix Suns. So I definitely going to see a different game for Jalen Brunson. RJ Barrett, I question. Is he going to be a guy that's going to be outstanding? Is he going to be a guy that's quiet? Is he going to be a guy that's playing great defensively? That's some of the questions I have for New York. But I think it's definitely going to be a very, very close game. A very, very probably the most interesting one. If not the playoff in the first round, definitely the Eastern Conference. I mean, definitely the Eastern first round playoff.
Jay Hilson.
Two defensive coaches. I like JB Bickerstaff. I really do. But I'm a Tom Thibodeau guy, and I just think, they say coaching doesn't matter in the NBA. Yes, it does. And I think that Thibodeau will be able to manufacture some things that JB's not going to be able to. And that's no disrespect to JB because he got the lineage, but Thibodeau's done that. The Cavs have the more high-end talent. LeVert, Mitchell, Garland, Jared Allen. Who's going to be that other guy, though? Is it going to be the Georgia native and Isaac Okoro? Will it be LeVert? Who else is going to be able to move in for the Cavs? Julius Randle, KDH spoke on it. Not only does he need to be healthy, but he's got to have solid efforts night in and night out. And I mean 21 and 12 every night. That's what they're going to need. Brunson and Mitchell, we've seen this before. Brunson got the last of Mitchell. Mitchell might want to go back at Brunson. Mitchell was supposed to go to New York. This thing got all kind of stuff in it, okay? It does. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting series. And it's funny that KDH mentioned RJ Barrett. I think this may be the series where Thibodeau, the Knicks, the front office really know, is RJ Barrett really going to be someone we're going to lean on? And it'll be very interesting to see that. But Brunson and Randall, how will they be? Will Obi now get some run at specific moments? How would Thibodeau tinker with things in this particular series? I think the Knicks had a coaching advantage. I think the Cavs have the higher end talent advantage in the series. It will be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Alfonso.
As the resident Knicks fan here, we want to, and yes, Joel, I'm saying we want to discuss the fact that over the last few years, we're 8-1 against that team in Cleveland. And when I say that team, the organization, not these particular guys in the playoffs. 2, we're 3-1 this season against said team. Okay, again, that's a variety of defensive things, great acquisitions, potential mismatches. Okay, Cleveland is a good team. Cleveland certainly is a good team. I hate Donovan Mitchell's not wearing blue and orange. Okay, that's just me. But I feel like he's going to certainly put on a show. Being in this series, being a New York guy, he's gonna put on a show and really have an opportunity. But I'm feeling this is the most optimistic I've felt in this. When I say most, meaning in the last few years, it's nice to have had them in the top 5, not trying to scramble their way in, into the postseason. They got a good chance. This is a matchup that I don't want to say favors them, but they have a lot of good opportunities where they can take advantage of. And, we're talking about Obi Toppin as well, being, once he's able to get hot, where, Jalen Brunson's been doing what Jalen Brunson. But you guys hit it on the head. RJ Barrett. I'm waiting on RJ Barrett. We're all waiting on him because
it's time now.
It absolutely is time, because now it's, as you said, now with the way things are going, he still has value. So if he doesn't perform, man, he's on the market. They can get something. Okay. So what I'm looking at it for him is like, okay, let's utilize and let's go be the suggested bully that you can potentially be at times, going primarily left and being as skilled as you've shown glimpses of while in the NBA. Because I'm not going to talk about what he didn't do because it's a short sample. But now in the NBA, he's given us glimpses, but has he given us a complete season? And he hasn't. So this is a chance for him, hopefully, to be able to provide that for the Knicks. And then, I just know that, again, Thibodeau, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. New York's going to be rocking. New York going to Cleveland is going to be, again, their defense is going to travel well. And hopefully we can shoot the ball just well enough that we can lock in defensively. Okay. And yes, Joel, I keep saying we, like I'm about to jump on a plane to go to New York and suit up. But I'm just saying is if they can lock up defensively and really, and again, we talk about the NBA and basketball is about runs. Defensive runs are important too, right?
Getting bricks.
Yeah, getting one brick after another. Defensive runs are important. So while so much emphasis is always put onto the offense and how the offense needs to get going, defensive runs are important. And hopefully the Knicks could get a lot more than Cleveland.
Okay, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I'm a huge Tom Thibodeau fan. He's one of my favorite coaches of all time. He's definitely my top 3. I really wanted him in the coaching the Bucks more than who we got because I love his philosophy. I love the way what he's stand by. He gets so much criticism, I guess, because it's the Knickerbockers. So you're coaching them, so you're going to get it regardless. If they losing, it's your fault. He's
gotten it everywhere he's been.
Yes, and he's one of the great, to me, one of the best coaches of all time. Just on my list, he's in top 3. Actually, number 3 on my list. It's gonna come down to me guard play. That's what I think it's going to come down to. Is Jalen Brunson ready to step up there? We seen what he did last year with Dallas. He had a great series. He ran through the West. They couldn't get over that hurdle. Now he with a different team. To me, with he lost Luka. Now he still got good talent on his team. He got the type of player that help him get to the next level. Hell, they number 5 right now. They battling Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell got out of the situation in Utah. Now he's in Cleveland. He got great height around him. He got another guard beside him. So it gonna really come down to guard play and who dominates the paint. Those are 2 things for me. I think the Knicks have a great chance of winning this. I really do, especially when it comes down to coaching, because it also will come down to coaching. Which coach go execute the best in the long run. So it's gonna be a great series. It's gonna probably one of the best first round series in the Eastern Conference to me. I look at. So I'm gonna start on my prediction. I think the Knicks go get out the first round, and they go win in 6. Jay Hilsman.
Knicks in 7. And the reason why I say in 7 is because in game 7, that would be in Cleveland. As Fonzo likes to say, defense travels, but I'm going to add one more to that. Thibodeau says, defend and rebound, we'll worry about the offense later. And those are things that win game 7s.
Joel, you must have been sitting here watching me write notes down because that's exactly what I said. Knicks in 7, because it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a gritty. There's not going to be a sweep, okay? And none of these wins, regardless of who wins, is it going to be pretty. It's going to be your old Eastern Conference style of game, minus maybe the clotheslines. But you know what I mean, we might see one. But the fact that we have the fact of these two teams are somewhat evenly matched, and sometimes it doesn't have to be necessarily statistically, but just in player performances. And I just think that that's the reason the Knicks are going to win in 7.
KDH.
Yeah, I also have Knicks in 7 because, like I said, at the end of the day, I think Knicks have the potential. I think that without no question. I think Donovan Mitchell will get his. However, it's better coaching. They have a better bench. I think New York Knicks are a little bit more locked in. They've had the playoff experience, even though they've been knocked out the first round. Plus, Tom Thibodeau thrives when he has a decent point guard on his team. So I'm definitely taking Tom Thibodeau. I'm definitely taking the Knicks. And 7, like I said, it's a toss-up. I think this will be one of the most interesting matchups in the entire playoffs right now in the first round. But I'm going to have to go Knicks in 7.
So we're going to move on to number 3, 76ers versus number 6. Knicks. I'm going to let Alfonso start on this because I ain't got too much to say on this one, but go ahead, Alfonso.
Spencer didn't really pick the wrong week to start picking on people, boy, because the heat on him right now. And I just feel Joel Embiid is going to be the reason or the difficulty. Nick Claxton, UGA guy, he's going to have his hands full. He's had a solid career, but he's going to have his hands full against possibly the MVP of the NBA, and a guy who's going to force him to have to play, a guy who's going to lean on him and make him, wear him out. All these things that, again, when you look at what the Nets have to provide, you have to find a way. There's no answer for him on that squad. That's the reason why 76ers went 4-0 against them this year. They dominated every performance, and part of it is because Joel Embiid is killing them in every possible way he can. He finished with 37 against them the other day. Joel Embiid can go for 50 on any given moment. So it's like, how are you going to guard that? Then you add the fact that if James Harden decides to just say, hey, I'm going to play now, I'm going to play, what do you do with that? There's not much you can do with that. So I just find that Joel Embiid is truly going to be the individual that is going to cause everyone in Brooklyn to have their own health issues and problems.
Jay Hilsman.
He better freeze up.
The Nets are 45 and 37 on the season. Since Durant and Kyrie have been gone, they are 13 and 15. If there's ever a team that has backdoored into the NBA playoffs, it is the Brooklyn Nets. And I mean a wide backdoor. Also, the news coming out of Brooklyn is that Ben Simmons will not play. And I think that is very groundbreaking news. The Nets, the only good thing about the Nets in this series is I was trying to look at the schedule, but since the Nets and the Knicks are both lower seeds, their home games are going to match up the same. And everybody will be excited to see the Knicks playing the Cavs and not going to see the Sixers and the Nets. Joel Embiid is very special. How will Tobias Harris step up? What will Theo do? But how will Harden play? I think his play is going to be one of the things that we really need to watch, especially with Embiid and Harden on the floor. They play much better when you start looking at some of the nerd analytic stuffs and all of those things. But good job. Jacque Vaughn did what he could do with what he inherited and then what wasn't there, and Nets have no shot in this series.
KDH.
Yeah, I mean they hit it on the spot. I'm just gonna straight up say it. The Sixers better not lose one game, not even one game. That you have no excuse. They have nobody to stop Joel. Mikal Bridges has took a more offensive role and a less defensive role now that he is the leading scorer on that team. So defense is not going to be too difficult there. Spencer Dinwiddie has what is he really going to do defensively? Nicholas Claxton may get
might show up.
I mean, at this point, they can throw him in there for just for the heck of it. We might even see Mac McClung.
Side. That's all.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he gonna drive up from DC. It's a short drive.
100%.
And have Winnie Harlow with it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, it's gonna look at this point. Doc Rivers, do what you need to do. It don't matter what lineup you throw in there. Even when you didn't have Joel, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey in there, you still dropped 30 plus points on them, 134 to 105. It's no excuse. Just win the game, get over with. I don't think there's much to even really discuss there. I mean, if they lose a game, I'm just really going to question that Sixers team going forward.
I'm gonna say this: it's gonna come down to Tobias Harris if he can score 2 points.
You're stupid. You're stupid.
No, I'm just because they ain't got no chance. It's over. This series, like, to me, the most non-interesting matchup out of all of the playoff games. I'm not interested. I don't even know if I'm watching. All the games should be on NBA TV. It shouldn't be on TNT or ESPN. I'm gonna just be honest. It should be on NBA TV. It was disrespectful. It was disrespectful. They got the Bucks on NBA TV, but got the Brooklyn Nets on down on ESPN. Come on now.
Really. Market share. Let them know, Joe.
I have to leave them kind of conversations and stuff alone because that's different. that's
different dialogue.
Those are NBA. The 76ers and Brooklyn Nets is an NBA TV playoff game. That's all I got to say on that. So we could jump to
not on the weekends, my guy. Weekends are dominated by the other two networks.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's pulleys and strings to that thing, man.
My predictions is
76ers. That's why they at 1 o'clock. That's why they the first game.
Oh yeah. 4-0. Sweet. 76ers. They better get ready to get prepared to get ass whooping in the next round. Go ahead, KDH.
Oh, that like I said, they better not lose one game or they're gonna hear. Doc Rivers gonna hear hell from me. I promise you on that. There's no reason you should lose one single game. You've been in the playoffs too many times to sit there. You got an easy game. Rest up. You know, you probably don't even have to play Joel Embiid one of these games if you really didn't want to. Get the dub. Keep moving 4-0.
As the late great Moses Malone, 4-4-4. 4-0, baby. You know what
I mean? This is professional basketball. And teams do sweep people. Yes, they do. I never pick a team to sweep because they are professionals. The Nets will slide in there and get one just for conversation, but that one will be when they're down 3-0. So 76ers in 5.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to this exciting match. Number 2, Boston Celtics versus number 7, Atlanta Hawks. KDH, I'm going to let you start this one off. Your favorite team, the Atlanta Hawks.
It's not my favorite team. I don't know where you got that from.
You know, I always mess with you about the Hawks.
Hey, I don't know where you got that one from. I mean, again, this is another one. I'm not going to say it's as bad as the Philly and Nets, but I think at this point Boston should win this one as well. I don't think Hawks have enough pieces. I think they did an exceptional well of beating the Miami Heat, but they used their Miami Heat's flaws perfectly. Boston don't really have too many flaws, and if Robert Williams is out, you can probably have that discussion. But if he's still in play, they don't really have no flaws. They have the size, they have they have guards, they have the shooters, they have everything they need. To me, I think they're on the veteran status. They've been in the playoffs every year. They've done very well every year. I think last year was just the top of the cup of tea. Now I think they're about to go overboard. I mean, I personally don't see Atlanta winning this series or even worth talking about what they could do to win. And I mean, it is NBA. They may win one, but Me personally, I don't even think they've won one in the entire series of this season. So I think I'm gonna take Boston. Yeah, I was just saying I don't even think they won a single one during the season. So I'm gonna take Boston.
Alfonso.
Interesting stat. Celtics are in the top 5 on offense and defense. Okay. And that is something that it's a rarity to see, right? We rarely see any successful team, any championship caliber team be able to be in the top 5 in both categories. All right.
That's good stuff.
So the fact that they are tells me, again, yes, I could sit here and think that Boston could possibly sweep, right? But, and I'm going to talk about a quick X factor, a guy who I think he's as old as me. Al Horford is still playing. And his veteran leadership, as well as his late years ability to step beyond the 3-point line, is going to be a factor. And I see the Celtics winning, and part of it is because you have Jaylen Brown, you have Jason Tatum, you have Marcus Smart, you have the depth. And even though Quinn Snyder is a quality coach, he's just trying to extend this as long as he can. And this is his almost like a preseason for next year with the Atlanta Hawks. And yes, DeAndre Murray, this is what he came for in Atlanta, to be able to make the playoffs, to be able to set a nice energy. Trae Young is going to be Trae Young. But I just don't know. I don't believe they have enough to surpass the Celtics in this series.
Mr. Hilton.
One of the greatest things about the Atlanta Hawks is Steve Holman, the radio announcer. So therefore, I'm glad the Hawks are in the playoffs. Boston is just too big, too strong, too fast, too good, and they have too much for the Hawks. Now, on the flip side, I'm going to be a little different than people in this market will be. It's not really interesting until you get to the playoffs. Well, homeboy, you in the playoffs now. And you went up to the Garden a couple of years ago and hushed up some folks. You got to go to a different Garden this time, TD Garden. A little different up there. Ask your buddy Jaylen Brown. It's a little different up there.
Yes, it is. If you've never been to Boston, yes, it is.
It's a little different. And I spent some time in Boston. I love it. I didn't have those issues, but
I did.
Yeah, but I'm gonna just say this, and you can clip it and tweet it or whatever you want. The problem with the Atlanta Hawks basketball team and the organization is Trae Young. He is the problem. Nobody will say that. Oh, he gets 27 and 12 and he does this and that. Man, every time it's a key possession against a quality opponent, he just doesn't do things enough to exude that I'm the guy that we're gonna ride this team with. And Dejounte Murray, I do like him, but Dejounte Murray, now remember, he came over in a trade and they got another year with him, and Dejounte Murray already hinting at, hey, let me keep one foot over here just in case. I think Quinn Snyder now really can, in a series and put things together, he can really see what he wants to do. If Trae Young doesn't step up and have a quality series and the Hawks don't win 2 games in this series, I think the trade rumors were not rumors. I think Trae Young's out of here. I mean, if I was the GM, he would have been gone last year. But Collins was on the trade block a lot as well. But I think Murray's going to be fine. Bogey Bogdanovic just had a lot of good things for them. But once again, the best thing about the Atlanta Hawks is I get to hear Steve Holman. The Celtics will win this in 5.
You already get your prediction. The Hawks showed up the other night, which was the first time they showed up the whole season. I don't see Trae Young having much success against Marcus Smart guarding him.
Not in an overall series. He'll have a game, though.
Yeah, he'll have a game. I don't see no one on the Hawks squad that's going to stop Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Maybe they can slow down Al Horford, but not much. But you still got so much power with the Celtics. Not going to be an interesting series. Could be.
Could be. That's what's crazy about the Hawks. You gotta give them that 2.5%.
Yeah, could be. But I think these Hawks fans are living on fool's gold after the other night, and I see a lot of Hawks fans talking about Hawks and 6. I mean, just because the Bucks said the Bucks and 6 the last few years don't mean the Hawks gonna get Hawks and 6. Y'all can stop that. I told them stop believing the hype. Trae Young's gonna be out of that jersey.
Hold on. They're saying Hawks and 6.
Oh yeah, I don't see a lot of Hawks fans talking about Hawks and 6.
You know what you should have did? Do you realize that means you got to win 4 times?
Right, exactly. That's what I told them about. Oh, y'all on fool's gold? This is not April Fool's show. April 1st was a long time ago.
And Okongwu and Clint Capella could play very well. I like what they do. Like the Hawks got stuff, but not enough.
They ain't got enough, and so I already told people Trae Young's gonna be out of uniform this season. He's not gonna be a Hawks by the end of before the start of next season. So what I'm gonna go ahead and throw my prediction out because we're gonna move on from this one. I'm gonna say the Celtics possibly in 5. I see the Hawks maybe getting 1 at home.
You got to get KDH. I want to hear how he dog it out since you told him the Hawks was his favorite team.
Now I'll go ahead before he steps in. Celtics in 5.
Okay, Jay Hills, man. I go to KDH last.
No, he already said Celtics.
Celtics in 5.
Yeah. KDH.
Just because you said they're my favorite team, I was gonna say 5, but I'm saying sweep because there's no. I'm sorry, if you know type of basketball, Atlanta Hawks do not have enough. Consistently, and this is going to be the biggest problem with Trae Young in the entire league is you play zero type of defense. And when you can allow guys like Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and all these guys, and since you're about to play them, to drop 20 on you while you drop your little 27, like that really going to mean something. It's not going to matter. You drop 7 more points than the guy you were guarding. How are you really impacting the game when you got Jason Tatum playing excellent defense? You got Jaylen Brown playing excellent defense. You got 2 potential All-Stars. 2 potential All-NBA players on the opposite team. And you don't have 1 potential all-star besides yourself, but you allow too many points off of your opponent. And I think that's going to be a consistent problem with the Hawks. I don't see them there. They should have never traded for – I understand the trade between Luka and – but that should have never happened. Hawks, I don't see happening.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Whole nother conversation. But like I said, I'm going to be honest. My true prediction, I think 5, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna probably just stick with 4 because I don't see them winning 1 game unless the NBA is really trying to make some money. I'm just gonna be honest.
And lastly, I will say this: Trae Young is the basketball version of Matt Ryan. A lot of numbers, no substance.
Oh yes. And I asked someone this, and I ain't gonna mention the name. Someone with the Hawks organization. I ran to him. I said, if y'all knew now what you know now about that trade you made with Luka Doncic, would you think y'all still make? And they said no. They said if they knew now what they knew then, they would have kept Luka.
And I love the Hawks organization. I love an NBA team in my city, but we talking basketball. Go Steve Holman.
Okay. So we're moving on to the last number 1 Bucks versus the number 8 Heat. I'm gonna let Mr. Hillsman start this one off.
This is going to be a very interesting series, said nobody. I like Eric Spoelstra. I like Jimmy Butler. I like Mike Budenholzer. I like Giannis. The Bucks have too much for the Miami Heat. I actually would like to say the Bucks in 5, but the Heat, I can't put nothing past Spoelstra because he finds ways when you don't expect certain things to happen. I think the Bucks they're gonna win this one though in 5, at the most 6, but there's just too many dynamic pieces that the Bucks have. Bobby Portis coming off of the bench, providing what he's providing. Giannis doing what he's doing. DeFenzo at the guard spot being effective when he can. Grayson Allen and his crazy stuff. He does things as well. I think Hero will play well. I think Butler will play well, but the Bucks are just too big, too strong, too fast, and too good.
Alfonso.
I'm looking forward to seeing Middleton make a strong comeback.
Yes.
And that's really why I'm going to watch this series. Because outside of that, yes, you hit it on the head. Spoelstra's good. I love Bam Adebayo. I love Jimmy Butler, but it's just too much. Look, the Bucks roster is as long as Antetokounmpo's last name. You know what I mean? Like that is literally like it seems like no matter who you pull off there, Drew Holiday doesn't get enough credit, you know, for what he's going to contribute to this team's success, like he did last year, or the last few years. But it's just too much Bucks, and you know, again, they have one of the top 3 best players in the world on their roster in Antetokounmpo. And Miami, the only way Miami would hope to capitalize on some games is the Bucks enjoying South Beach way too much, you know, and not being able to, well, they can't fly into Fort Lauderdale. We all know it's underwater right now. So they at least can't, you know, enjoying South Beach is going to be what they would need to hope for.
And you know what? That's why I think I give the Heat maybe a game or two, because that's why the Bucks were really pulling for the Bulls, because travel would have been no problem right there at all. So, and they would have been able to bring some people. You know how that Bulls thing. So I think that's why they really upset at the Bulls right now.
Absolutely. I mean, how far is that drive, Joel?
That's 9 minutes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, so just think about had they played that game, you know, or had
they always travel that by bus.
Yeah, that would have been a fantastic ride and a great, probably potentially same amount of interest in the series, but people would have paid attention because of the fans and the energy in both buildings.
And then the Bulls would have had to do everything in their power to keep the Bucks fans out of the United Center, but we know the Bulls fans know how to get into Fiserv Forum no matter what they do. So, but yeah, that was kind of why I think the Bucks wanted the Bulls there.
Go, KD.
I mean, there's no chance. I mean, Giannis, I think during the series, Giannis played one game? And in the one game he did play in, he played 6 minutes and went straight to the beach. And they still lost by 25. Yep. Well, I mean, come on. Like, it's Miami Heat have not looked like the Miami Heat. They've been on a decline since 2020, since the bubble. They're not looking great defensively. Offensively, we're questioning Tyler Hero. There was even comparisons at the beginning of the year if he was almost the same thing as Donovan Mitchell. I think we've cleared up that really fast within a few games within the season that Tyler Hero is looking like a big decline. And Miami has played a lot of players like Duncan Robinson a little way too much for you to not even utilize him. So it's like at this point, I don't even think Miami really knows what they have. Granted, they did get this win against the Bulls, but I really don't think that changes anything. Both teams were a little bit struggling, kind of figure out where they were within their respective standings. But Bucks should win this and have a nice trip. I mean, this is really a preseason game for them. Now, I see it for the playoffs.
I like KDH, man, but hold on. Pat Riley has made some pretty good decisions over the years, and they're exposed.
Oh, yeah.
Give him a little bit.
Oh.
Because
I'm giving it.
Hold on. They're going to be in position. They got some trade capital. They got some cap room. So, you know.
Well, no, I'm going to give the Heat utmost credit because I love their organization. I think the players that they picked were great. I mean, I don't see that really changing much after that. But even during the times that we've seen Duncan Robinson, as we see the flaw in Tyler Hero, they are targeted defensively every single game.
Yeah.
And if it's not helping that they're going to score, you know, Tyler Hero during the season last year was averaging 20. Gets to the playoff, he was averaging 12. We've seen a big drop. Then Duncan Robinson fell off. When Duncan Robinson was hot and you realized he was a target defensively, but you had Tyler Hero, why not trade him to get more when there was tons of teams that had a lot of interest in him? Same with Tyler Hero. Now you're looking to get rid of both, and there's not really much interest.
Sometimes it's just a matter of how far that contract will go. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. So, you know, I think it's just, you know, Eric Spoelstra has tried, but I think this is as far as it's probably going to go with this series for this year. And I think they need to make some changes next year.
So just to chime in real quick, actually, from the reports, the Bucks actually wanted the Miami Heat more than any other team because they knew they have a better chance to run through the Miami Heat. They had trouble with Chicago. We had trouble with Chicago throughout the season.
That's because of that's what we was talking about, man.
Yeah, I'm saying we had trouble. So Miami
watch the game.
Huh?
No.
So Miami Heat was definitely the best. I was even the Bucks fan. We had a conversation. Everybody wanted Miami because they knew possibly it could be 4, maybe 5 games. Chicago would give us a run. Toronto would actually give us a run because of their because we had issue with Chicago this year. We had issue with a battle with Toronto. So I definitely want the Hawks because for some reason the Hawks have our number. For some reason, when we play the Hawks, they had our number this season. They had our number last season. We luckily we got past them this season. We won the NBA championship because they for some reason they always have our seat because they know how to guard Giannis. They have the bigs and how to guard Giannis. So I was glad when the Miami Heat lost to them. It was perfect because I didn't want to see the Hawks in the first round. I'll be honest, I just didn't.
All they gonna do is put Trae Young on Giannis, and Giannis gonna get 2 charge calls like he gets every game plan against Atlanta. You feel like how the heck?
Clinton, they clog up that paint and it messes up. They always, even Giannis told everybody, he said the Hawks guard him the best. He said he had the most trouble playing against the Hawks. So, me saying this, I'm glad for this series. It's not an interesting series, but I'm still gonna watch it because the Bucks playing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my prediction real quick. I ain't got nothing to say because you know how I feel about the Bucks. I don't need to say that. I say the Bucks in 5, possibly 4.
Yeah, I got Bucks in 5.
I got the Bucks in 5, and Tyler Hero will be able to go for a homecoming, get a home cooked meal, and that's all he's going to do in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, you said 5, right?
Bucks in 5, yeah.
Bucks in 5. Okay, cool.
And the Bucks will be on NBA TV. The Celtics and
they are.
The 76ers and the Nets have no NBA TV games. The Bucks.
I know. I seen the schedule. Which
I'm just letting you know.
No, you didn't let me. I seen the schedule. I was very disappointed when I seen us on NBA. How are we on NBA TV? We're playing against the Miami Heat, South Beach. Come on, Stephen A. Smith ain't gonna like that.
You been to Milwaukee?
I've been to Milwaukee. I know I ain't been to Milwaukee, but I see them. The fan base is amazing there.
Yeah, I'm just saying
they ain't got much going on there.
Small market. So having a 1 seed on NBA TV does you well. So
we shall see. But all right. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all. This has been a great show. I know it came kind of late, early in the morning. I know it's past Jay Hillsman bedtime. So
this is when he gets his best work done.
Oh, yeah. My fault.
You don't know my guy? Don't talk about my guy.
I know. I'm just picking at him. I know this is best work because when you wake up in the morning, you get to read all those tweets. So, yeah, this is the best time I wake up. I wake up like this. Oh. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all joining the show. I got to hit the sack because I got an early morning at the gym. But before I go, KDH, is there anything you want to tell everybody? You got anything planned coming up?
I got nothing planned. Like I said, just ready for the NBA, lose some money, watch the games. That's about it. Man, I'm a player prop guy. I love player props. I like to guess what they're gonna do, see their strategy. So OKC really let me down. They pissed me off, but we gonna talk about that.
Mr. Jay Hillsman, is there any projects, anything you got coming up?
I'll be in the gym in 3 hours. So.
Good God.
Ooh. And Mr. Alfonso, baseline to sideline, any projects you got coming up?
I'll certainly be in the gym. Not in the same one as Joe, but definitely be in the gym.
I'm going to wind up over there, too.
True story.
Yes. Where y'all at this weekend?
Well, I'll actually be running an event, and then I'm going to go to On the Radar at some point.
I'll be at On the Radar, and I'll be at Rise. And On the Radar and Rise, On the Radar is in multiple places, so, yeah.
Okay, all right, man. Y'all staying busy on that, always working. And I will be in the gym. I'm at PQ Hoops here in North Augusta, South Carolina.
Are they holding it at the Riverview?
Yes. I love that facility. I love it. I got my little setup and everything. Got my guard around my equipment because those kids
they make you feel important.
Well, I brought them. I bought some.
Oh, okay.
So 2 weeks ago, I had kids playing with my equipment, and they were telling me when I had walked to go get some players, I said, this is not going to happen again. So I bought some of those little barriers that go around there, and nobody comes over there. They ain't none of them coming over there. I got signs that do not cross. I had to do that because kids just
They don't care.
They don't care, and the parents don't care either.
No.
But
All right, do your thing. Appreciate it. Good job, everybody.
I appreciate y'all. And this your boy DT. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're out.
It's DT.
You have just now listened to the most talked about podcast in the country. DT, unfiltered, uncensored. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.
Damn.